اهلا وسهلا بكم.
محمد
وزانا بنوي.
we're co-hosting Creative Mornings. مين أول مرة يجي Creative Mornings جدة؟ اوكي
ما شاء الله
ما شاء الله. طيب أهلا بيكم.
نايس. اهلا بكم. مبسوطين جدا اننا احنا بنشوفكم اليوم. اتمنى انكم حتنبسطوا معنا وحتشوفوا اشياء كثيره تستفيدوا منها وتتعلموا منها. اهلا اخوي، كيف حالك؟ امس تقابلنا ما انت فاكرني. شكرا. الله يخليك. يس. قبل ما الو يس قبل ما نبدا المكان اللي احنا فيه فايبز اوفيسز، مكان جديد زي ما انتم شايفين. ما شاء الله جميل جدا. تحس باشياء كثيره حلوه في المكان هذا. حابين نشكرهم على استضافتهم لينا، ونبغى يوسف يعطينا حاجه بسيطه، يعلمنا حاجه بسيطه عن المكان. تفضل يوسف.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you everybody. Thank you Creative Morning for coming to us today. بس اديكم كده فكره سريعه عن Vibes. Vibes is a co-working space and we're really trying to build the right community for entrepreneurs. And our community is built on three things: inspire, enable, and sustain. So we inspire entrepreneurs and our Vibes member through the community activities that we do. So we have big community activities like the Creative Morning that we do today, and we have weekly activities that happen in the space. We also have different membership that works for different people who have different ideas. So if you're looking for an office space and you want to be part of a community that pushes you forward, please, you can come anytime. You can have a full tour to learn more about the space. And we would like to thank again Creative Morning for being with us today. Inshallah, we have a long-term collaboration. And thank you everybody for coming here. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me. And تفضل.
شكرا يوسف، يعطيك العافيه. شكرا فايز.
طيب نحب نشكر نستلي السبونسر الأول راعي، موجودين برا معنا. عندهم اليوم قهوة و something else. What did they else? إيش؟ corn flakes. Okay. So دائما عندهم مفاجآت. So مرة شكرا نستلي. مين كمان؟
نشكر جماعة السبونسرز اللي معانا اليوم. كريم أعطونا ديسكاونت 20%. مين استخدم الكود حق كريم؟ ما شاء الله كلكم ما تحتاجوا كود. اوكي جريت.
شكور الأصيلة معانا. عندنا ظلال الفلاورز. عندنا رند ايجنسي. جوزل ديزاين سناب شات فلتر.
يس جربتوه؟ بالله صوروا عليه استخدموه. خزن الصورة استخدمها كمان في الأذر سوشيال ميديا so you actually spread the word. تمام. using the filter حق سناب شات.
alright. اليوم حيكون معانا فقرة
دانا. where is دانا؟
دانا
تمام.
تفضلي. so دانا قبل التوك، قبل ما نبدأ بالتوك حتلقي poem. the theme is anxiety زي ما انتم عارفين.
brace yourselves.
كيف الايس بريكر تاعك؟ في احد يبغى يشارك قبل ما نبدا بدانا؟ Yes.
Mine is the fear of lost opportunity.
All right, fear of lost opportunity.
We had similar ones.
Oh, so like FOMO.
FOMO.
Like FOMO. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Humor.
Yeah.
Humor. Anyone else? Perfectionism. Perfectionism.
شكرا.
Yeah. Okay. طيب. All right, Dana, go ahead.
Hi everyone, my name is Dana Sif, and I'm going to share with you spoken word poetry today. So a little backstory to the piece I'm going to share and to spoken word poetry. So I've suffered / still suffer from both anxiety and depression. So it's very hard for me to navigate the difference or the space between both of them. So the piece is going to be kind of intertwined between both anxiety and depression. The second thing I'm going to share with you is spoken word. It's the art of sharing a poem or a story, but also kind of performing it in a sense. Something we do with spoken word is if someone is sharing something and you really resonate to it, it makes you feel something, or someone gets emotional or stressed out, like I kind of am right now, what you can do is you snap your fingers to show them support. If while I'm saying the piece, if there's a certain line that you really resonate with, you can snap your fingers, and then I'm going to feel that connection that what I said just touched someone. So yeah, I'm just going to start. Just a second. My brain is an unpleasant place to be. But it is the only one I've got. So I will make a home out of it. I will make a home out of it even on the days when waking up feels more like a death sentence. Even on those days, it is the only brain I've got. Even on the days my brain twirls like cotton candy at an amusement park, leaves kids with a false sensation of happiness and aching teeth. Even on those days, it is the only brain I've got. When it looks more like a Van Gogh painting, when it wages a civil war in itself, even on those days, it is the only brain I've got. When all the moving cars look more like moving tombstones. Anxiety. When all the honking cars and cat-calling men start to look like my name on a headline. But I still have to walk that road. Even on those days, this brain is the only one I've got. And anxiety, oh, it blackens out the names of everyone I've ever loved and only leaves neon-colored headlines of every mean thing anyone has ever told me. Or every mean thing I think someone was going to tell me, but they didn't actually say it, but I can see it in their eyes. Anxiety turns everything upside down. And this brain of mine, no matter what I do, it is the only one I get. It is the only home I will ever have. And what does it say that we don't get to choose our homes? What does it say that we don't get to choose our bodies or our brains? What does it say that we don't get to choose our homes? We get to decorate them. So fine, I will make myself art. I will make myself art for you to watch for a minute or two. I will make myself art for you to watch. And this body of mine has become a gallery full of wonderful, expensive artwork. And people, they walk by, they watch, they marvel. But you cannot touch art you do not own. My body is a gallery full of expensive artwork. It is worth millions of dollars. So people, they walk by, they marvel, but no one can afford to take it home. Thank you. Thank you all for listening.
Wow.
So this was just my spoken word poem for you today. And just a side note, I run the Poetry Passport, which is a writing collective. And we do weekly workshops where we just work on writing. There's different topics. We discuss them for an entire hour. And then there's 2 workouts. And you can write. And you do not have to share. So you can be as personal as you want. And if you feel like it, you can share. But you don't have to share. And then we have Jeddah spoken word once a month. This month it was yesterday. It was awesome. Some of you were there. So yeah, I hope to see your faces in other places. Oh, all right. Okay, bye.
So where can find the Poetry Passport?
Yes, the Poetry Passport on Instagram. You can find everything. Okay.
Thank you, Dana, again. Thank you so much. طيب. So we are going to introduce our speaker, Dr. Hakeem Jomah. Yay! And so احنا كيف اخترنا انه حكيم لهذا الثيم. كنت بتكلم مع حكيم على my own anxiety, and from one topic to the other I was like, oh my God, Hakeem, please, can you be the speaker for anxiety? We have it in Creative Mornings. قال لي ايوه طبعا مهم. Hakeem, Dr. Hakeem is an artist, actor, writer, speaker, and more. Everything, okay. And صراحة مرة مبسوطة إني تعرفت على صبا. I'm going to come to you later for some tips. tips. طيب تفضل. Big applause for Hakeem.
Thank you. Dry mouth, off to a great start.
Feeling invited?
Yay for migration. Son, how's everyone doing? You guys hear me? Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I'd like to start off. There's a gentleman here who came up to me today, and he said that he suffers from crippling anxiety, and he would otherwise not leave the house, but he chose to come here today. I'm not going to point him out just in case, but he chose to come here today. So can we please give this anonymous person a round of applause for coming here today? Only because this person told me of his journey, and I'm swaying a bit away from the introduction that I wanted to give, but I feel that this is a very important introduction to give, is that people rely on the external to fix the internal. And I'm not coming here today to preach at you or talk at you or give you a lecture as to what anxiety is. This is something that I have felt, this is something that I still feel, and this is something that I will likely feel for a while, but as opposed to seeing this as something that is my enemy, as something that is a crippling factor, I treat it like a need that is like any other need I have that needs to be addressed, acknowledged, and worked with. And this is a word we hear commonly used all the time. We hear this so often. I have anxiety, I have anxiety, I have anxiety. But to us, anxiety, over time, you hear this word over and over and over again, and it suddenly becomes this gigantic, dark boogeyman that you can't really define. You just know it's there, and you just know that you do not want to have it anymore, and you know that it is your enemy. But I am here to help you kind of dissect what exactly this is from my personal experience. Facing anxiety without any kind of dissection, without any kind of analysis, is like opening up a medical textbook with no experience as a physician and understanding everything right off the bat without any kind of foundation. I can understand it, I'm a doctor. But for people who are not doctors, like myself, I only have to repeat it over and over again because my mom is here, and her first comment on my lecture is, why does it not say doctor here? And I will get to that. I will get to why it does not say doctor. I will get to why titles are a bit meaningless when it comes to solving this particular problem. And so, long story short, the goal of this talk today is I want to give you the foundation with which to build your understanding of anxiety with. I'm not going to solve all your problems today. You're not going to leave here feeling hunky-dory and happy-go-lucky, but you're going to leave here knowing that you are equipped with enough to intercept your anxiety whenever it happens, to know when it is happening, and to know what you kind of need to do to make it less of an enemy and more of a need. Like when you're thirsty and you just want to drink water. That is the equivalent of what anxiety is to me. And I am hungry all the time. We'll take you to the very, very, very beginning. This lovely, cheerful child here, that is me, and that is my brother. Growing up, I was a very, very quiet, observant kid. I was very, very curious. I wanted to do everything that had to do with the lesser understood. So I wanted to be all the typical things that young boys wanted to be. I wanted to be a paleontologist. I wanted to study dinosaurs. I wanted to be an astronaut. I wanted to be all those things. I want to be a marine biologist. And my parents, bless their hearts, my parents told me I could be anything except everything but a doctor. So fast forward through my childhood. I had gone through high school and I wanted to become a marine biologist. I had my heart set on my marine biology. Fortune did not favor that path, and I ended up going the path of the doctor. So in medical school here, we have this lovely habit of instilling within you from day one that inta doctor, you are a doctor. This defines your identity, and you hear that enough, and that becomes your truth. That becomes what you are. I am not Hakeem Jomah anymore. I'm Dr. Hakeem Jomah. And without that little doctor title that I strive for, I might as well not be anything. So, I ended up becoming a doctor, and growing up in a very, very, very academic family, grades were everything to us. Grades were what made you the man. Irrespective of effort, my father, bless his heart, irrespective of the effort, the end result is what mattered, not the journey. So I grew up with the very wrong mentality of valuing the end result, valuing the destination, and not valuing the journey. So no matter how far I went, it didn't matter if I stopped halfway, even if I learned life lessons that'll last me till the day I die. What matters is what I come out of with that trip. And that was the mentality I held for all my life, even still in medical school. I loved the approval I got in medical school. Everyone would praise me for being in medical school, and it felt good. Doesn't it feel good when people praise you? Doesn't external validation feel great? Does your life not hold meaning unless someone else says it does? Is that not how we're living? Am I lying? Can I have a snapping fingers if what I'm saying is true?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, it is that external validation that I ended up subconsciously striving for. So, to attain that external validation, I would always challenge myself more, and more, not to see what I could do, but so others could see what I could do. So others could know that when they bring up Hakeem's name, they're like, oh yeah, Hakeem, that guy, he does this, he does that, he's really good at this, he's really good at that. What mattered to me was not that I had those skills that they were praising. What mattered to me was that they were praising me. 6 years in education, 1 year of internship, and 2 years of clinical practice later, for whatever reasons, temporarily I was no longer Hakeem the doctor. I worked in a clinic for 2 years, and in those 2 years, it was a clinic in Ruwais, I was 50 years old, I worked there, and it had seen, because of me, it had seen the highest rate of vaccination in its history. Only because I decided to change intrinsic policies, I decided to widen the map, I decided to do all those things. All because, whenever they bring up Markaz al-Ruwais, you hear that, oh yeah, it has the highest rate of vaccination coverage because of this one guy. But one day, I didn't have any of that. I lost it. I was no longer temporarily a doctor. I wasn't a practicing physician, and a practicing physician is what makes a physician, because I need a palpable end result. So now I had no outlet with which to deliver a palpable end result. And I was just Hakeem. And being just Hakeem was one of the scariest experiences of my life. To be something that I was a doctor for 9 years of my life. I was a doctor for 9 years of my life, and that's all I knew, and suddenly I wasn't. And this is something that, okay, before I go to the next slide. So, I was left alone with myself, and I would feel increasing sense of irritability. I was quick to anger. I'd snap at everything. I lost my sense of self. I lost my sense of identity. And so I struggled to garner approval, because I suddenly found that the approval I used to garner before is no longer the approval I got now, because I was not a doctor anymore. So I had no end result. I strived, I knocked on every door to be a doctor again. I applied and applied and applied. I was this prideful doctor for 9 years of my life, and then suddenly I had to go door to door, hat in hand, asking someone to make me a doctor again, because without that, I don't know who Hakeem is. And it's not because I'm seeking someone to give me that doctor title. I'm like, oh, Hakeem is complete again. No. I realized it was because ultimately, I didn't want to be alone with myself. I didn't want to stop and think, what is Hakeem without medicine? Because that's a scary thing. Can you imagine living with a stranger inside your own self? Can you imagine not knowing who you are and having to wake up with that person every single day and trying to make conversation with that person? That's awkward. That is awkward. So I found my inspiration in a very, very, very unlikely place. Take me, if you will, the camera, please. I found my inspiration in a very, very unlikely place. So I am an avid gamer. Well, of course I would be a gamer, because a gamer has a journey, a gamer has an end result. You play the game, you win, you're done. Great. Yes, 1 + 1 = 2, life could not be better. Until I picked up a game, and in this game, it opens up with a message. And that message says that this game is about making the best of a bad situation. This game told me that you will lose more than you will win. But it's about how you deal with that loss that makes this game matter. And it was punishing. It was punishing, and it pushed my limits, and it gave me anxiety. Next slide. This is a game called Darkest Dungeon. And in Darkest Dungeon, normally all games we know, you have a health bar that goes down, and when it reaches 0, you're done. This game is not so much reliant on a health bar that reaches 0 and you're done. It relies on anxiety bars that go up, and when they reach 100, you're done. So that means that your number one priority when you go into the Darkest Dungeon, when you face the darkness with these very broken, very human heroes, you have to sometimes call it a day and end the game mid-game. So you're in the middle of a quest and things are going very, very bad. Your hero's anxieties are through the roof. They start to fall apart from within. Sometimes you need to hang your hat up and call it a day and get out of there. And when you do quit mid-game, it stresses out all the heroes that were involved in that, because they came out with no palpable result. You went into the dungeon, you got your butts beaten, and you left with nothing to show for it. But you live to fight another day. And in this game, there's a line that really got to me. In this game, there is a line that says, to fight the abyss, one must know it. So, the abyss means something different to everyone. The abyss is this infinite dark that you look out into that is just exudant of hopelessness, of fear, of anxiety. But it only is that because that is what it is to us, because we never step forward into the abyss. We never step forward into the darkness. We never want to know the abyss. So I made it a point in my life that henceforth I will no longer fear the abyss. I want to know it. And then when I got to know the abyss, and I knew the lovely twist in the tale behind all of this, I realized that I did not want to fight the abyss, that I wanted to love the abyss. Cue aww. Yeah. So stop me if you've heard this one before. An abnormal and overwhelming sense of apprehension and fear. Doubt concerning the reality and nature of the threat and one's capacity to cope with it. A strong desire for something to happen or to do something. Those all, I didn't say snap, I said stop. None of you stopped me, so I'm super, I feel like I'm the only one up here. Okay, I'm just going to assume that you're all with me on the same page. Thank you for a mini applause. Okay, so the point is, a lot of us have been left alone with these feelings, and most of the time you feel them when you're alone. Sometimes people feel it when they are in a crowded room like this one. But why do you ultimately think that is? We live in an age of instant gratification. We live in an age that is founded on external validation. The journey does not exist anymore. So you don't know who you are. You like a certain kind of movie, you like a certain kind of food. With a click of a button, it's right there at your door. You don't go outside anymore. You don't walk anywhere anymore. There is no journey unless that journey yields a form of external validation. When was the last time you had food or coffee and didn't take a picture of it so other people could see it? Was it even worth eating? Was it even worth drinking coffee if no one knew I was doing it? That's not something you're doing for you. Yeah, you might enjoy the food, you might enjoy the coffee, but more than that, you enjoy the sense of impending approval that's about to come with it. So while you're drinking that coffee after you took a picture of it, the whole time you're drinking that coffee, you're looking at your phone, you're waiting for that one like, you're waiting for that little piece of approval. Same with food. Have you ever been with someone when your food comes to your table and you're just about to dig into it, they're like, no. Let's take a picture first. Why? When you're at a concert, when you're at an event, when you're at a gathering, how many times do you see phones lifted up? When are you going to watch those videos? When you're at someone else's wedding, you don't want to be there. And then you're videoing the people coming down the aisle on your own personal phone. Why? When are you going to bother and watch Bint Khaled Ahmed Sittek Safra? When is that ever going to matter to you? Ever. When you're at a fireworks show, you're like, oh my God. You rob yourself of that experience only because we have conditioned ourselves that experience does not matter unless someone else says it matters. But do you think ultimately, and this is going to sound very pessimistic, but there is a degree of truth to it. Do you think ultimately those people that like your stuff actually like your stuff? No. They like stuff so you can like their stuff back. If you follow someone, if someone follows you and you don't follow them back, they're like, hey, why didn't you follow back? I followed you. So it's like a transaction. There's nothing that's for you anymore. There's nothing that matters to you anymore. So, what comes with that when you do not get any of those things? Irrational fear, irritability, sleep disturbance, digestive problems, and lack of fulfillment. You are just unfulfilled because your fulfillment is reliant entirely on what other people say you should feel or how other people say you should feel. And this was something that I was brought up with. It's something that I'm sure everyone in this room can relate to. One way or another, you were told what you were supposed to be in an ideal world. You were told that sit up straight, look straight ahead, do this, do that, do this, do that, blah, blah, blah. You are built, there's no foundation there. So, I decided that when I stared hard enough into the abyss, this is going to be super deep. When I stared hard enough into the abyss, I realized that the abyss was in fact a mirror. It was a mirror. I was looking at myself. I was my own darkness. See, it says so right here. Hakeem is my darkness. But it also says, and that's okay. We all have our darkness. And the point I'm trying to make here today is that's okay. When you're left alone with yourself and you think, oh, I'm this, I'm that, and you start this vicious cycle of self-deprecation that is reliant, that is alleviated entirely by other people's temporary self-approval, that high that you get from external validation. And I'm a doctor, you can trust me when I say that it's chemically proven. If you don't like depth, then you probably like science. That it's chemically proven that the same chemicals that are excreted when you do drugs don't do drugs. Do not do drugs. If you want to, like, just for as a field experiment. My point is, I did it, you didn't have to. So you didn't have to. The same chemicals are released when you get that sense of external validation, so of course you get addicted to it. You'll get addicted to that anticipation of texting someone and waiting for them to text back. You text someone, you put the phone down, and then you're just sitting there looking at it. You should be studying. You should be working. You should be working on yourself, but instead, you're like, I'm going to wait to get that hi back. You're not even talking about anything interesting. You're like, hi, and you're waiting for that, oh, hey. And then, see, exactly. They're like, what you doing? And then they're like, nothing. What are you doing? When you should say, I'm studying, you're like, nothing, you. This is a addictive cycle of inevitable self-deprecation. You are basically ignoring the problem. And when you ignore the problem long enough, like I have, it's a burden. And when I was not a doctor anymore, I was not a zero responsibility guy. I was a married guy. I had a family to take care of. I had 2 cats to take care of. You know how expensive that is? So I had a world of responsibility, and yet I made the responsibility secondary to my life because I could only 100% give my all to those responsibilities once I gave my all to myself. So I set out to answer the question, what did you do for you today? Every day I made it a point to do menial garbage. Random things that didn't benefit anyone, that didn't garner anyone's approval. The most mundane tasks you can possibly think of. The most mundane. I had a bass that was collecting dust in the corner of my room. I decided to pick that up and start learning it. For me, at first it was not. I am guilty of this too. I wanted to learn the bass because I wanted to play in front of people. Like, oh, Hakeem's a doctor that can play the bass. That's pretty cool. But then I decided no, Hakeem plays the bass for Hakeem, and that's all right, but you know that now, so if you have a gig or something you want to invite me to. My point is, so I started doing stuff that was only for me. I made it a point to do it when I was guaranteed no kind of approval was going to come my way because my approval was the only approval that mattered. And my approval was ridiculously difficult to achieve. My approval was arguably the most difficult kind of approval to achieve. And I thought my dad's approval was the worst to achieve, but no. When you grow up hearing what you should be, you become your own worst critic when you are not that thing. So, I decided that, okay, I'll take the little wins. I won't sweat the small stuff. In fact, I'll let the small stuff be a source of alleviation for me. I'll let the small stuff, my reward for these small things is that I spent time with myself and I could pick up the bass. You could pick up the guitar that's collecting dust in the corner of your room and play it and play your heart out and realize, wow, I hate guitar. And that's fine. That's fine. You've learned something about yourself. You know that in your future, guitars aren't going to be a thing because you don't like guitar. Right now, we are in a phase of the wrong kind of experimentation. We are in the phase of temporary alleviation through external validation of whatever kind. Drugs, alcohol, social approval, which is the worst kind of high, but it is still a form of a high that you get. It is still a form of withdrawal that you get when you do not experience it for a prolonged period of time. And that is something that is an incredible weight on you. So, I started to ask myself, let's scale it up a bit. What else can I do that is not related to medicine? So, I started off small. I started a small fitness initiative called Jomah Fitness, and yes, it was related. My selling point was, I am a doctor. That was my selling point. They're like, I already have the training, but do they have a degree? No. So that was my angle. I loved fitness, and I decided that I want to do something with something that I love, and that one thing is fitness. So sure enough, I jumped into that. I built a nice little community. I built a nice little business for myself, and I started doing something for me. Then I realized, all right, so now I know fitness is a thing that I can do. What else can I do? So I was randomly walking in Dubai and I found this book called The 2-Week Startup. And I picked it up, the 1-month startup, not the 2-week startup. So I picked it up, I started reading it and decided, I can do this. I can start something up. And because I started doing my fitness up, so I'm like, okay, I can do this. And I decided, what do I want to do that has nothing to do with everything, but it is from me. In this book, there was the concept of something called the potter. The potter is someone who toils ages in front of a spinning clay rotisserie? Shall we call it that? Let's call it that. I'm sure no one's going to correct me here. It's actually called... no. So, he toils in front of it for 8 hours a day and he sells it for nothing. For next to nothing. But he loves his job. He loves his job. And that is all he needs. He's not in it for financial gain. He just loves what he does. So Ramadan was around the corner. And I was 2 weeks into the program of the 2-week startup. And I decided that I'm going to toil aimlessly in front of a pot of boiling jam for 8 hours a day. And make jam. That was for me. I was making jam. No one cares about my jam. I give it to my family. I'm like, I made jam. And they're like, yeah, but you're a doctor. So I would make jam. I would sit in front of a pot for 8 hours, stirring, with a book in another hand and boiling jam in the other. And the jam, for those of you who have never, I'm sure some of you have made soup. Any boiling liquid, it tends to, it's difficult to tame. It sometimes spits at you, and that's okay. It burnt me a lot, but that was fine. There was zero reward from this massive yield, and that's fine. The jams that I made in Ramadan still sit in my fridge to this day. I'm sure they've become lovely cultures of fantastic bacteria because their shelf life is 2 weeks, and they've been in the fridge since last Ramadan. When I open the fridge and I look at the jams, or pseudo-jams, I look at my bacterial cultures and I think, I did that. No one ate. I ate some of it, but no one else ate it. But that was fine. So a week into Ramadan, I decided, this tastes good. I made enough jam. Let me start selling it. Let me see if I can sell stuff. So I put on my lovely little bib and this tope. That's how, see, I'm a minimalist. It's the same tope from last Ramadan. And I started selling my jams. Has anyone tried a Hakeem jam? All right. We have about 4 of you. That's something. And I would sell those jams for pretty minimal prices compared to what I would. And when I told people what I would sell them for, they're like, "Oh, but you put so much time into it." I'm like, "Yeah, it doesn't matter. Like, take it so I have as little bacterial cultures in my fridge as humanly possible. Just take it." And I was like, okay, great. Hakeem likes doing jams. I started and liquidated my company because that's the cool way of saying it. I started my company and liquidated it by the end of Ramadan. And I yielded a profit. That profit, 127 riyals. Stop it, this is addictive. So then I decided, okay, while I was working on Preserve by Hakeem, something else was happening. This was arguably my first true foray that I decided I was going to take from beginning to end, and I was going to see this through no matter how much it killed me, and that lovely little thing was Medallion. Who's heard of Medallion? Anyone? All right. Yes, about 27%. Okay, point being, I decided that during my time of not being a doctor, that I would make a movie. And I wrote the script while I was a doctor. I wrote the script, and then I took it to production houses. I was this young hopeful, like, yes, I have the script, I'm not a doctor anymore, and now the script can get made. And every production house looked at the title, looked at the subject matter, and said, we are not touching it. There's no way we are going to make this movie. So I'm like, okay, not cool. And I went back into my cycle of self-deprecation, where my work was not approved of. And then I stopped myself, and I said, Hakeem, you're doing this for you, irrespective to the end result, irrespective to how it is received, irrespective to the quality of the movie. You are going to start this from beginning all the way to the very, very end. And Medallion was arguably one of the hardest things I have ever done in my life, because it was wrought with failure. The road to making this movie was 90% failure, because we had no money to make the movie. We had no skill set to make the movie. When I say we, it's me and 2 people who did my wedding video. I went to them, I'm like, I don't have money, but do you want to make a movie? And they're like, okay, like suckers. No, I'm kidding, I love them. So, we started acquiring a skill set. We started to really learn how to edit, how to work on sound. We were toiling for 9-10 hours in front of computers with books in our laps, learning how to edit, learning how to shoot, learning what to do this, learning things about mood boards and color grading. Stuff that, by the way, side note, asking creatives how to be creative is the worst thing in the world. So you go to a filmmaker and you tell them, how do I do this? Like, have you done the mood board? I'm like, I don't know what that is. I'm like, ugh. How do you not know what this is? Because I'm new to this, I don't know. So, there was a lot of that for me, and for me to go and ask people for things, that was a no-no. From day one, I was brought up, and again to Abdulhakeem Jomah, you don't owe anybody anything. That was my dad's mantra. You don't owe anybody anything. So, going and asking people for things, asking people for what to them are menial things. So it's like going up to, if you don't know any math, and you go up to a person with a doctorate in math and telling them what's 1 + 1, because you legitimately don't know. But that's what it is to them. Like, to you, 1 + 1, you might as well need a doctorate in math to get that answer if you don't know math. So I took it upon myself to say, Hakeem, it doesn't matter what people think of you, as long as you really, really, really milk this journey for all it's worth. Learn everything you possibly can about this one thing, because it's for you. Because you want to do this, not because of anything. The fact that the movie blew up and won 9 awards was out of my control. I could not... thank you. So, yes, after a year of toiling in front of computers, day in and day out, we finally had an end result. And for us, that end result was a movie, and we were happy with it. And that should have been where it ended, but then we started asking ourselves, let's put it out there, let's see what happens. And all this time, we dealt with, of the 100 festivals we applied to, we got into only 11. So I was, do the math, 89? Is that what adds up to 100? I don't know. Let's say 89. 89 rejections, and I was in the front line of that rejection, and I had to read those rejection letters over and over and over again on purpose, because it shouldn't matter to me that they did not approve of my end result. What matters to me was that at the end of the day, I have acquired a skill set. I've done something that was entirely for me. But this journey is not all rainbows, butterflies, happy-go-lucky unicorns. This is a difficult journey. And you will face a lot of failure before you taste any kind of success, only because you do not know what true success tastes like to begin with, because you were reliant 100% that our success is based off of a palpable result. Numbers on a paper, a palpable yield that you can show somebody. When in fact the only person that needs to know that you did anything to begin with, the only person that lived that excruciating journey is you. So it's very easy for you to study for a year and then come out with a B plus and you being proud of that B plus and that thing being shot down completely. First year of medical school, I'll take you back. Straight A's, A pluses even. And an A. I go to my dad and I'm like, Baba, here. Straight A's, first year of med school. And he's like, straight A pluses. And he's like, an A get Menial. Which means, where did the A come from? Why is there an A there? Like, they're all A pluses, why is there that A? So, I was like, well, that doesn't feel nice. Like, that stings a bit. But then, as opposed to saying, Hakeem, you did your best. I'm like, no. I'm gonna work a lot harder. I'm gonna kill this next time. And I did not kill it. I killed any form of determination that I had, and those A's were never to be seen or heard from ever again. I'm gonna bring this back now. Let's. By the way, this is me, and this is my executive producer, and that's us at a film festival, the 27th Arab Film Festival. Yeah. So, sometimes when I am feeling anxious, when I am feeling tightly wound, I have to treat myself like I'm another person. I have to ask myself, Taylor, what's wrong? Why are we here now? Why are we feeling this? What's happening? I have to address it just like everything else. And anxiety is like hunger. You never want to eat the same thing every day, so you're not going to be anxious about the same thing every day. So why do we encompass it as the single emotion that I feel about everything? And I just accept that. I accept that feeling of impending doom. I accept that feeling of darkness. I let that fear take over me, and then I'm paralyzed. And I'm not going to do anything about it because I tell myself, it's going to pass. Sure, great. If you have that level of maturity where you can stop and freeze and let it pass, that's great. But you don't stop to ask yourself, why did this happen to begin with? So, if you saw your friend breaking down in front of you, you saw a loved one, you saw a family member, you saw a cat break down in front of you, and my cats do break down in front of me. You see them, and you would say, what's wrong? What's happening? You'd show them empathy. So I'm just asking you to allow yourself the same courtesy that you allow others. It's never from the same thing. It's never, ever, ever from the same thing. One day, I was making pancakes, I tried to flip it, the pancake fell down. I hated my life. I'm like, why physics do you work as you always do? And then I ended up throwing the pan. And I'm like, that was an irrational reaction. And then I started digging as to where that came from. I forget where it came from now. But isn't that an achievement that I forget where it came from now? Because I addressed it at the time. I don't remember what I ate a year ago, because I was hungry a year ago, I addressed that need a year ago, and it was done. So allow yourself the same courtesy that you would allow anyone else, where you ask what's wrong, and you ask yourself, what's wrong? I'm going to close this point by, there was this Navy SEAL graduation ceremony, and then Admiral William McRaven said, if you do nothing else today, when you wake up in the morning, make your bed. It is one thing that is completely menial to the entire world. It doesn't mean anything to them. Now you have people making your bed for you. I've made it a point that only I will ever make my bed. And if I don't make my bed, then I deserve to come home to a messy bed. But if I make my bed, irrespective of how bad your day has been, you come home to a bed that's been made. A bed that's been made by you. That is something menial, something trivial, something that in the grand scale of things doesn't mean anything, but it is for you, and it is something that you can rightfully say that I did this for me. And it is great conditioning to do that thing for you. It's the best way to start if you are completely lost and you don't know how to start. I have no fancy closer. Yeah, no, that's done. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hakeem.
شكراً,
You want some of
Hakeem.
that jam?
I have some in my fridge if you want.
And if you can extend. Yeah, I want the new one and the old ones. I'm going to do something with the old
The
ones.
bacteria ones.
Yeah.
شكرا حكيم. حقيقي يعني perspective. I assumed a different kind of color in the room, but يعني we laughed, we were kind of moved in different emotions. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Okay. طيب ممكن ناخذ questions and answers. ممكن بس كده 3 عشان then we're going to be here until 12ish فبتقدروا برضو حكيم موجود وتقدروا تسألوا لو حبيتوا زيادة. بس الحين like the pressing questions اللي كمان تحسوا إنه ممكن تفيد غيركم. Something that again will, you know. Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Okay.
Yes, I know.
You made a very interesting point about انه حتكلم عربي انجليزي حسب ما يطلع معي. مثلا انه انت قاعد تقول انه انت توجهت من انت وصغير انه اهلك يقولوا لك دكتور حكيم دكتور حكيم. الحين انا عندي ابن في الجامعه ومثلا عنده ابتعاث فكانه المستقبل يعني مرسوم له ايش لازم يسوي. هو قاعد يطلع بافكار اخرى انه انا قاعد اضيع وقتي، انا عندي مشاريع وعندي اهتمامات اخرى في حياتي. انتوا بس تبغوني اتخرج من الجامعه والاقي وظيفه واشتغل وكذا. هو عنده ناحيه ابداعيه، الناحيه الابداعيه هذه انا اجري معاه فيها بس انها مخاطره. طب انا كأم ايش اتصرف؟ يعني هل اهلك سووا غلط لما قاعدوا يقنعوك انك تصير دكتور وفي النهايه انت يعني اديت الغرض اللي هم كانوا يبغوه منك، بس في النهايه انت قاعد تقول انا ما كنت مستمتع وما حسيت لك نفسي كذا.
Sure.
هذا
No.
الشيء مره يقرفني يعني.
Sure. At the end of the day, when I pursue النواحي الإبداعية حقتي الناس تقول بس أنت دكتور. I'm like, yeah, and I'll always be a doctor. No one can take that away from me. But my mother, when I told her that I wanted to do a movie, when I told her I wanted to do these things, she was 100% supportive. But she said, at the end of the day, you need to remember that there's a safe side, dangerous side. And at the Haim, I just finished my second script, and I'm قاعد أدرس بعثة جراحة مخ وأعصاب. I'm doing both. There's no reason you can't do both. There's no reason. People who tell you that if you do one thing, you cannot do another thing, that's up to you. That's a challenge to you. You don't listen to that. It's a suggestion. But I feel you can do everything, but stay on the path. Every once in a while, خش خدمات نسوي حاجة. بعدين go back into the main road.
سؤال ثاني؟ تفضل.
What do you do when you start doing something and you're convinced it's for yourself, but instead midway you end up thinking, wait, I'm doing this for someone else, and then you just have this crisis that you're struggling to find out whether you're doing this for yourself or for that external validation, like you said.
Sure. And I see this in parents a lot. So parents believe that if they're playing with their kid and their kid giggles and they laugh and they're happy, this is something that I'm doing for me. But that is still a form of external validation. That is still a form of what I'm asking you to do is to imagine that you are in solitary confinement. You are not going to get anyone's approval. If you feel the need, I gotta take a picture of myself playing this guitar right now. If you feel that need,
You're not doing it for you.
you are 100% not. If you feel the need to share this with someone else, then it's not for you. I'm talking about something that is 100% for you that no one will ever know about, ever. It's just something that you are nurturing within you. If it becomes something great, it grows into a business or whatever, that's a side thing. Otherwise, it needs to be entirely for you. If you can do it for a month without telling anyone about it, like it's something that you are nurturing and something that you are growing, you're on the right track. 100%. And yes, I have creative sides to me, but I'm by no means some hyper-intelligent genius. So I just sometimes and blatantly sit and talk with myself, what's happening? Tell me. So if you saw me like in the corner of a masjid talking to myself, you'd likely give me some money. But my point is that I would sometimes just straight up vocally talk to myself. it'll seem silly at first, but you would be surprised that a lot of the time, you'll have something. It's like when I say, what's the first thing that comes to mind when I say pizza? You're like, pepperoni. I'm like, okay, you want pepperoni pizza. So it's the same thing, like, what's wrong? Things are inevitably going to pop in your head. Marra ba'd marra ba'd marra. Things will eventually start coming to your head, and you'll be able to realize, okay, this is where it's coming from. What can we do about it? Can we do anything about it? No. No point in worrying. Can you do anything about it? Yes. Have you done everything you could? Yes. Don't do anything about it. Have you done everything you could? No. Then get up and do what you can. It's a very simple equation. It's a very, very simple equation. It's not an easy one, but it's a very simple one.
All right.
Man, this is profound stuff.
Thank you.
No one's writing this down. You're gonna die with me today.
شكرا. Thank you حكيم. هذا شيء بسيط من زار.
I know it's not jam, but
طيب وحابين نشكر فايبز. ممكن نجلس كمان شوي الين what's our maximum؟ 12 وربع 12 ونص. Okay.
في
So
غدا؟
بس عشان اليوم شوية we went so we are going to still نجلس so please يعني هذه الفقرة مرة مهمة. It's part it's one of the main takeaways من الايفنت اللي هو المينجلينج. دحين we're going to open the floor للناس اللي يبغوا طلب أو يبغوا يعلنوا عن شيء مهم يخص شغلهم دراستهم their work their life something that you need from the community. We usually post it on our social media and then you get what يعني what you need people start to connect. ففي شيء أحد يحط yes.
Hey, but through bottom line. So I started a really new startup for a writers community and a literary agency, and I'm looking for team members that just want to volunteer their time and ideas. So get in touch with me. I'm Khaira Benducci. You can find us on Alf Kalima. We're on Instagram and we have alfkalima.com. Get in touch however you would like. If you care about community, writing.
Fahad.
Oh,
Fahad. We'll take the picture and on social media حتلاقوا خير's social media.
Yeah.
So you can connect على جدة_CM.
Well, thank you.
Alright.
خيرك.
في أحد ثاني؟
Yes, Dana.
لا حنوصل لك المايكروفون.
طيب.
Thank you. أحد ثاني كمان؟ Okay. Can we just try to bottom line عشان الوقت؟
Thanks. There was just something I forgot to mention earlier. So next Saturday, the writers' workshop is on gratitude.
On?
Gratitude.
Gratitude, okay.
We like to start a bit positive every month. So I'm gonna I'm gonna share the poster with you, and then you can share it with people.
Okay, thank you. ما في أحد حيعزمنا كلنا على الغداء؟ تفضل. والله.
Assalamu alaikum. أنا اسمي سراج المعراوي. Considering today that we're talking about anxiety, well, I'm standing in front of God knows how many people I'm shaking inside. So to help me, thank you so much. So, hello? That sounds like me from the inside right now. So to help me, I use these fidget cubes. And please, guys, we brought in as much as we could. Help yourselves over there. The bag has an SEG logo. So please, whoever has anxiety, pass it on. It's really helpful. Thank you.
طيب وفي giveaways كمان من جولب.
جولب بيبل فينكم؟ حيوزعوا عليكم جماعة سويس جروب. يا ريت كمان توزعوا الجوليز حقتهم. And they're gonna say something while doing that.
Okay.
I'm just Medallion Yusuf. I'm a community partner in Vibe. I'm also starting Julep, which is a new company that will be launching here in Jeddah. Julep is a pharmacy application. مين هنا عنده iPhone or Android? Raise your hand. Almost 100%. تقريبا اليوم we have 200 people in the house. So you can download the app now. It's JULEB. The app allows users to order any pharmacy products, so it includes medication as well as beauty products, personal care, and it can be delivered in 2 hours, anytime between 10 a.m. and midnight. So inshallah, it will be helping to get all your products needed from the pharmacy just by a few clicks away. الهاشتاج حقنا صيدلية بجيبك, so it made pharmacy very easy. We'll also have our launch event. It's going to be this Wednesday. It's going to be called Health Redefined. So if anyone is interested about health and knowing more, we're going to have 7 speakers, and we're going to talk about different aspects: wellness, nutrition, yoga, sleep. So if you're interested in health, you can find more about the event. We'll have our team be giving bags and telling more about the event. So if you have any questions about Julep, you can come out here, and we have a small giveaway bag that has some vitamins. Thank you very much.
شكرا يوسف. طبعا دقيقة يوسف، شيء ضروري يا جماعة، كل الابس اللوكال، البروجكتس اللوكال، we all have to support them لأنهم أهلنا عيال جدا. I know this application has been يعني شغل كثير صار عليه، تمام. Supporting such things is very important for the whole community. أتمنى أنكم تشاركوا فيه. في عندنا حاجة بس، في عندنا شيك بكلمات لطيفة لجولب وفايبس. شكرا لك.
طيب اوكي.
Hi everyone, thank you for coming. First of all, thank you that you guys are here at Vibes. Basically, we'd like to thank Hamad and Mazan for doing this here. We're really, really happy to host you guys. Secondary, we'd like to thank Hakeem for the amazing speech. We're going to give you Vibes in 14 seconds. Since you guys are here, might as well know what it's about. So we have 3 plans. We have a hot desk, a dedicated desk, and a private office. We target SMEs, which are small, medium enterprises. How do we give them what they need? We have community events, so we have weekly awesome events like this. We have perks. Basically, if you're an entrepreneur and you're looking for a designer, an accountant, you need somebody to help you out, we got you covered. We have strategic partners as well. If you need an incubator, an accelerator, we have you covered as well. So if you guys want to know more, there's myself, Abdulsalam, Yusuf, Sultan. Just let us know and we'll answer any of your questions. And thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. طيب آخر شيء بس أطول عليكم. إن شاء الله the next 3 months is going to be hosted at the Saudi Art Council لمجلس الفن السعودي. إحنا registration دائما نفتحه 5 أيام قبل الإيفنت. So this is like a tradition worldwide in any creative mornings. Usually we put the link on our social media, which is Instagram, because we get a lot of questions about this. فمن دحين الإيفنتس is on the 24th of March and I think the 20th of April, they're all Saturdays. And قبلها ب5 أيام يفتح التسجيل. فجست يعني an FYI.
I think it's a good stalking strategy. كل يوم أدخل وأشوفوا Creative Mornings بدأ التسجيل ولا لا على الليل. And switch on notifications. Okay. And register actually when you go. لأنه بعض الناس، في ناس كثير مثلا يتأخروا بعدين يسألوا. It's a first come first serve. هذه المرة ما شاء الله كانت تسجيل سريع جدا. في خلال ساعتين اتعبت السلوتس وتسجلت كلها, which is very amazing. بس بعد كده حاولوا دائما تحرصوا انكم تسجلوا على اللينك قبل ما تيجوا, which help us نعرف مين الناس اللي جات, اعداد الناس اللي جات, الستاتكس اللي احنا نحتاجها نستفيد منها when you do register on the link.
ورياض Creative Mornings is happening soon. فإذا عندكم عائلة في الرياض يعني إن شاء الله قريب لما بن صديق is host هناك. فمرة يحمس ما شاء الله. This is the 21st event. فإن شاء الله our second anniversary is coming up soon. وبليز stay mingled. القهوة موجودة, نسلي موجودين وإحنا موجودين.
في جودنز, في تمر وقهوة.
أيوة. The topics are chosen by all the cities. For this month, I think it was
Lagos, I guess.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So thank you.
شكرا لكم.